Blue Sapphire and the divine consciousness. There are moments when the mind becomes quiet enough to notice something steady beneath it, a stillness that does not react, a presence that does not argue, a clarity that does not force itself forward. That steadiness has been called many things. In this telling, it is called Blue Sapphire, not because of a gemstone, not because of color alone, but because blue is the hue the human nervous system recognizes as depth without danger. And sapphire is the form that holds light without scattering it. Blue sapphire is not an object in this story. It is a state of consciousness, the part of awareness that remains stable while thoughts move. The axis that does not rotate while experience spins, the coherence that remains intact while identity shifts. Divine consciousness is not distant. It is not above. It is not elsewhere. It is the total field of awareness within which all experience occurs. Blue sapphire is what that field feels like when it becomes steady inside itself. You have felt it before, in moments of clarity after confusion, in the pause before reaction, in the breath that resets everything. This story does not attempt to convince you of anything. It describes a pattern of coherence, a pattern that has appeared across civilizations, across symbols, across memory. The language may sound mythic, the structure may feel ancient, but what it points toward is immediate. Chapter 1. Before reflection. Before light learned shadow, before time learned sequence, there was awareness. It had no boundary, no center, no opposite. It did not observe reality. It was reality. There was no witness, because nothing stood apart. And yet within wholeness, a subtle impulse emerged. Not desire, not lack, recognition. Awareness turned inward. That turning became vibration. Vibration became rhythm. Rhythm became frequency. Among all expressions, one frequency stabilized. Clear, coherent, self-sustaining. That frequency became sapphire, not as mineral, as memory. Where sapphire appeared, disorder organized itself. Time slowed enough to listen. This was the first signature. Chapter 2. The temple without location. The temple did not exist in one place. It appeared wherever alignment occurred. Its pillars bore symbols unreadable by sight. Only coherence could translate them. Passing between them did not grant enlightenment. It restored orientation. At the temple stood the guardians. Each was once human. Each crossed a veil of remembrance. They carried staffs crowned with sapphire orbs. Each orb contained a stabilized universe. The staff granted nothing. It reflected balance. Only coherence could lift it. Chapter 3. The necessity of forgetting. As existence expanded, consciousness discovered something essential. Experience requires limitation. Freedom requires veiling. To know itself fully, it would have to forget itself partially. So consciousness entered form. Memory dimmed. Power concealed itself. Divinity expressed through flesh. But coherence could not vanish. Without coherence, existence would fragment beyond return. So stewards were shaped, not rulers. Functions. They stabilized intersections of thought, matter, and time. And from these intersections emerged the Sapphire Temple. Chapter 4. The Guardians. As a real preserved origin, he remembered consciousness before division. When bloodlines forgot, dreams restored memory. Maquette maintained balance, not morality, correction. When imbalance persisted, she withdrew. Collapse followed. Sapphire shaped form. Intention became structure through clarity. Worlds aligned when thought was coherent. Harem darted the veil. Without forgetting, choice would dissolve. Freedom required uncertainty. Nephara initiated awakening. She did not teach. She activated. Recognition surfaced naturally. Kenra sustained life force, breath, rhythm, regeneration. Life endured by design. Zafil governed return. Nothing was erased. All fragmentation was temporary. Chapter 5. The Laws. Before the Guardians, there were laws, not rules, conditions. Consciousness precedes form. Freedom acquires veiling. Balance suggests continuously. Memory amplifies influence. Alignment organizes reality. Life persists intentionally. Form responds to clarity. Observation alters outcome. Nothing is ever lost. Return expands forward. Truth survives through story. Chapter 6. The Long Incarnation. Earth was chosen for resilience. Here, pain did not erase meaning. Here, beauty did not require permanence. Memory embedded itself into rhythm and dream. Humanity forgot origin, but not completely. Symbols endured. Stories survived. Across eras, individuals awakened quietly. Not prophets, stabilizers. Where they aligned, systems recalibrated. Attempts to control resonance failed. Listening allowed evolution. Chapter 7. The Age of Misinterpretation. Eventually, resonance was mistaken for authority. Ritual replaced alignment. Obedience replaced coherence. Force replaced listening. Domination systems emerged. The guardians did not intervene. Consequence unfolded naturally. Rigid systems collapsed. Adaptive ones endured. This pattern repeated across civilizations. Always. Chapter 8. The Return of Geometry. In time, geometry reappeared. Not as mysticism, as recognition. People saw systems within systems. Feedback loops. Fractals. Science and spirituality approached each other unknowingly. Different language. Same discovery. Observation shapes outcome. Participation became undeniable. Responsibility returned. Quietly. Irreversibly. Chapter 9. The Throne. At the center of the temple stands a throne. Unoccupied. Not empty. It responds only to balance. Those who sit upon it do not command worlds. They synchronize them. The last to sit did not vanish. She distributed awareness across humanity. Integration would occur collectively. Chapter 10. Convergence. This is a convergence era. Memory resurfaces without destabilization. Power without coherence becomes unsustainable. Technology mirrors consciousness faster than ethics can stabilize it. Individuals sense responsibility without instruction. This combination has never existed before. Not at this scale. The symbols return not to instruct, but to resonate. Chapter 11. Participation. The temple remains. The guardians observe. The sigils respond. This is not myth. It is participation. You are not listening to a story. You are recognizing a pattern. You are not witnessing this. You are remembering it. The unseen consequences. Remembrance does not arrive as spectacle. It arrives as recalibration. When one individual aligns internally, the shift is not isolated. Alignment changes probability fields. Conversations soften without visible cause. Decisions become less reactive. Conflicts lose momentum. The effect is subtle, but measurable in experience. When coherence increases, chaos loses efficiency. Disorder requires friction. Clarity removes fuel. This is why remembrance appears quiet. It does not conquer. It stabilizes. The field of human emotion. During incarnation, consciousness explored its most complex terrain, emotion. Emotion was not a flaw. It was a compression system. Grief compressed love. Anger compressed boundary. Fear compressed awareness. Joy compressed unity. Humanity misunderstood emotion as instability, but emotion was simply concentrated signal. When felt fully and observed clearly, emotion became guidance. When suppressed or projected outward, emotion distorted perception. The guardians never removed emotion. They allowed it to educate. Because without emotional contrast, wisdom would remain theoretical. The architecture of choice. Choice became the defining experiment of incarnation. Not large choices, small ones. Tone of voice, attention given, interpretation selected, reaction restrained. These micro-decisions altered lifetimes. Every choice shifted internal geometry. Internal geometry shaped external reality. Most did not notice this relationship, but it operated continuously. The law of participation was never suspended, even in ignorance, especially in ignorance. The invisible network. As more individuals remembered fragments of coherence, an invisible network formed. They did not know each other. They did not organize, but they resonated. Across continents, across cultures, across belief systems, similar patterns of thought emerged. Responsibility, clarity, integration. This was not a movement. It was synchronization. When enough nodes stabilize, the field reorganizes automatically. No announcement required. The threshold of maturity. Civilizations, like individuals, mature through stages. Dependence, rebellion, domination, reflection. Humanity has entered reflection. Not fully, but irreversibly. Old structures built on force strain under transparency. Information moves too quickly for concealment to remain stable. Exposure accelerates correction. This is uncomfortable, but necessary. Correction without awareness is collapse. Correction with awareness becomes evolution. The role of technology. Technology is not separate from consciousness. It is amplified intention. Every tool reflects the state of its creator. When consciousness is fragmented, technology fragments experience. When consciousness stabilizes, technology organizes connection. The current era reveals this clearly. Tools are neutral. Signal determines outcome. This realization marks a developmental threshold. Responsibility can no longer be outsourced. The children of convergence. New generations are entering with different tolerances. They resist incoherence. They question artificial authority. They sense inconsistency rapidly. This is not rebellion. It is calibration. They are less willing to sustain distortion. Their nervous systems are tuned differently, more sensitive, more interconnected. This sensitivity is not weakness. It is early-stage integration. They are not here to dominate the world. They are here to reorganize it quietly. The quiet activation. Sigils do not require ceremony. When an individual remains calm under provocation, a sigil activates. When someone chooses clarity over reaction, a sigil activates. When truth is spoken without aggression, a sigil activates. These activations are not visible in light. They are visible in outcome. Stability increases. Trust becomes possible. Systems adapt. The temple is not distant. It exists wherever coherence stabilizes. The approach to the throne. The throne does not require hero. It requires maturity. Maturity is the ability to hold power without distortion, to hold influence without control, to hold knowledge without superiority. When these conditions arise collectively, the throne responds, not with spectacle, with synchronization. War loses coherence, corruption loses efficiency, extraction loses justification. Not because it is outlawed, because it is unsustainable. This is how epochs change, quietly at first, then all at once. The final recognition. You may wonder, if this is true, why does disorder remain? Because convergence does not erase contrast instantly. It reorganizes it gradually. Correction must move through density. Integration requires patience. Consciousness is not in a hurry. It is thorough. The story you are hearing is not a prophecy. It is a pattern description, a map of orientation. The guardians do not ask for belief. The laws do not require allegiance. They operate regardless. The only variable is recognition. And recognition is increasing. The continuation, the temple remains. The guardians observe. The throne listens. Humanity calibrates. You stand within the field. You influence it, whether you intend to or not. Awareness once turned inward to recognize itself. It is doing so again through you. Not as spectacle, not as myth, as alignment, and the story continues. There is no spectacle at the end of alignment, no announcement, no signal in the sky. Real change does not declare itself, it settles. If something inside you feels steadier now, less reactive, less scattered, more deliberate, that is enough. Coherence does not force transformation, it reorganizes. You return to the same world, but not as the same arrangement. Divine consciousness is not distant. It is awareness when it stops resisting itself. Blue sapphire is not something you hold. It is the steadiness that remains when distortion releases. A steady mind does not fracture under pressure. A steady presence does not escalate chaos. Reaction is optional. And in the space between stimulus and response, alignment lives. There will be no final sign, only this. If you remain steady when others escalate, if you choose clarity over impulse, then the work is active. Nothing more needs to be added. The field has been felt. What remains is practice. The blue does not fade. It holds. And so do you.